Welcome to Diversity Conversations, where we engage in thought-provoking dialogue to identify leadership solutions to today's most challenging conflicts. Stream live each week, Saturday 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Hosted by Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Strategist and CEOs Eric Ellis and Tommy Lewis. Join us and add your voice to this engaging diversity conversation.
Good morning, Greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, the United States, and the world. My name is Eric Ellis, and I'm the president and CEO of Integrity Development Corporation, and I'm joined this morning by my good friend and brother,
Tommy Lewis, president and CEO of Make It Plain Consulting. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Tommy. What's up, man? What's good? What's
good?
It's
a beautiful day again, Saturday morning, waking up early, having this conversation, and looking forward to the Memorial Day weekend.
Absolutely, man. And it looks like we got some sun out there. It's a beautiful time to celebrate, to be with the family, to just enjoy good weather. Yeah. So I think there's a lot to look forward to this weekend.
It's a lot of opportunity to just love on one another.
That's right. That's right.
And so, Memorial Day has different meanings for different people. But I would say, just like we're talking about, just to be around family and friends, taking some time off here in the United States. We do get off Memorial Day, which is going to be Monday, as a national holiday. And that is, some time away from work. Hopefully we can get some rest, relaxation, but also remember that freedom is not free.
Absolutely, man. So many people, that's right. Many people served and died on our behalf. I don't care what side of the political spectrum or aisle you stand on. All of us have to be grateful for those that laid down their lives or potentially could have laid down their lives on our behalf. And as I hear about our veterans in need of anything, when I hear about PTSD, what the things that they're struggling with, I feel a personal responsibility that our government, us as a people, can't just sit back like that doesn't matter.
Right. So we've been, here in the United States, and we're speaking to folks not only in the United States, obviously, it's across the world. Wherever you are, we hope that you remain safe, and that's what we have to do. Be loving. Wars on this earth are not new, unfortunately, because we have people who judge and sometimes have power to inflict on other people, right? And so this reminds me, I had a conversation on the business side on Friday, Eric, and the gentleman I was talking to, for whatever reason, we got to a point of talking about indigenous peoples. And I was mentioning some work that we do out in Colorado, where there are some 25 to 30 different indigenous tribal nations in the small area that we're in, 25 or 30, not the state of Colorado, many more just in the area. I said, I don't know if you've ever been out to Southwest Colorado, but if you have, it's obvious that it's God's earth,
right?
For
absolutely.
One, and it's also obvious that either white people or Black people were not the indigenous people,
right?
And I was saying, they being the indigenous tribes are still very upset with the broken promises of the past. And he jumped in and said, well, it doesn't matter where you are, all lands are taken. I said, okay. He said, yeah, all land. I had this conversation with my wife a couple of days ago, and I knew that was a gaslight. Right. You had this conversation with your wife a couple of days ago, and he said, yeah, all lands are taken, no matter what. And I let him double down, triple down, quadruple down on that comment. And then I said, at one time, wherever the land is, there was the original people. They did not take the land.
Right.
Now we have wars and things like that we know of now, but 4,000 years ago, when there was people at the land, they were original.
Right.
They just came into the land. They didn't take it for someone. They migrated to open space.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want to hear that.
Right.
So I decided, as I always say, a person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. I let him have his opinion and we continued on with the business. That's why I don't have certain conversations with certain people, because of either the lack of understanding, the willingness to understand, or some people are lockstep in their beliefs.
Right.
And that's what Memorial Day is in the United States. There are particular beliefs, and that belief oftentimes is from one perspective.
Mm-hmm.
There are many other perspectives that are not heard. So I didn't mean to go down that path. I just wanted, these are just daily conversations, let alone weekend conversations.
Right. And I'll sort of reinforce that with something that I said to you, Tommy, last week, that I learned and sort of almost came back to me in a dream. I was thinking about the golf swing. I was at Eagle Tee last week. I was, and the pro from Beckett was there as well. And I was swinging my club and asking for some input. And he said, well, Eric, he said, your swing's a little flat. He said, and you could release your back elbow from that side a little more so that you can get more leverage and more power. And I shared that with you. The revelation that I got, Tommy, was that was something, keeping that back elbow super tight to my side, the ribs, was something that I was doubling down on, teaching everybody, believing it was the cure to slicing, which it can be. But what got me was when I released that elbow, Tommy, I gained more power. I mean, 20 more yards in terms of hitting the ball. And so that's what we're saying about this gentleman here, that if you hold on to something that you believe, no matter how strongly you believe it, no matter how certain you are that that's the right way, that sometimes our growth and our ability to get to a more successful future is about letting go of what you're certain of in order to gain greater insight. Wow. And that's hard for people to do.
It's hard for people to do, Eric. It's hard for people to do. Want to say good morning to our community, Eric. Roger Miller chiming in, right? He says selective amnesia. You're right, Roger. It's good to see you. Got the right question out there, always asking the right question. We see you out there, and everyone else. As you can see, we have some new technology this morning. We want to invite people to like, subscribe, and comment the new technologies that you can see, not only your comment, but the comments of the community. And so Eric and I are talking, we're talking. Let us continue to have this very robust, very dynamic conversation in real time. So we would love to hear your comments, questions, input. And then if you choose to join us, feel free. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but you can have the opportunity just to join us. But it's great to be with us. What's on our docket for today, Eric?
Well, Tommy, today we are going to talk about being the change that you want to see.
Oh, that's good.
As I've been thinking about where we are in this country and in the world right now, you could be tempted to be discouraged, to be depressed even. I know a lot of people wake up every day, Tommy, and they check the temperature on the country. What has President Trump done today? And I think that the vision that God has given me is that we've got to take our view and our eyes off of Washington.
Yeah.
I don't care which party is in office. And we've got to bring our focus back on one another and ourselves and ask the question, what can I do to see the changes that I want to see in the world? And Tommy, I'm grateful that that's something that God has put on our hearts, because that's a big part of the businesses that we do.
Right.
Is that we're working to build bridges between people. At one of my clients, their diversity council now sort of created a new support sort of committee for survivors of cancer.
Yeah.
And Tommy, I was in the meeting, man, when they introduced this, and the two co-chairs of that subcommittee, one white, one black, just happened to luck up on the fact that they both were cancer survivors. and they literally embraced in the elevator and hugged one another, started crying and really saying, how can I support you? And when I saw what happened in the diversity council meeting, Tommy, it was powerful to me. And I saw that as one of the answers.
Yeah.
That so often we get caught up in all the debate points around what's happening around us, that we forget to be humans.
Yeah.
And that sometimes we don't need to just look at our differences, but sometimes we have to look at even our struggles that we have in common. And how can I better support you? What are you going through that I can assist with? Let's not even waste time talking about who you voted for or what you believe. Let's look at what can I do to be the change that the world needs.
Erica, I appreciate that. We are human beings. Cancer, I'm not a fan. Cancer took my father. Cancer took my sister. I'm not a fan. My beloved son, Bryce, he is at North Carolina A&T biology pre-med because he wants to be a cancer doctor, right? And so, and not because of his grandfather or his aunt passed away, but that was his calling. And I think in the workplace and in society, to be the change that we want to be, it's what are we called to be? What's our passion point?
That's right.
And so, again, the other stuff that is out of our control,
Right.
That's not who we are. We control what is very immediate, local, and direct. We have to take care of ourselves and ourselves, whoever is in our circle, to be able to impact the world. So we cannot impact the world if we're not balanced, right? In one way, shape, or form.
Right.
So I think that for me, the change that I want to see, and I've constantly have done this, is, I have to look at myself and I have to surround myself with people who will tell me the truth about me.
Right.
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 And the people that I have around me that tell me the truth about me, Eric, they know me well enough that they know how to give me feedback such that I don't reject.
Right.
Because I get defensive.
Right. All humans do.
You tell me about me. No, that ain't me.
Right.
And these folks, boy, they be serving me up the best meals of criticism. And I be eating away. Right? Oh, this is some good stuff. This is good stuff. You know what you having, right?
Right.
What's this? Oh, this is criticism.
Right.
What? About who?
Right.
You. Yeah, it's medicine. And folks are serving me medicine. That's the change that I want to be, is be a better human being, a better father, a husband, neighbor, friend, brother, and just be a better, I don't want to be cliche-ish, just like golf, right? I just want to be a better me, right? Particularly if I can see, like, I'm better than this. I just want to be better. And I think it rubs off on other people. Hopefully it does. My work or your work, our work community rubs off. Love to hear the community chime in on that too. Of what things do we do to be the change that we want to see?
Right. I'm in the same space, Tommy. And the beautiful part about being the change that you want to see in others and in the world is that as you work on being that, you start reaping the reward of that effort.
Okay.
As I look at my life, I went to the doctor a couple weeks ago, and she was looking at my A1C numbers, and they were a bit more elevated. And so, Tommy, doctors, you visit them, they tell you things, sometimes you do them, sometimes you don't. But when you tell me something, I can see a pattern that is now progressing, then you've got my attention.
Yeah.
And now I'm saying, okay, I've got to change. I got to do some lifestyle changes so that I can bring those numbers down. And I'm grateful to be doing that. I'm grateful to be eating healthier, eating salads now on a regular basis. And the thing is, I'll tell you that at my age, Tommy, I don't know about you, But for me, I don't really just clamor to life.
Right.
You know, when I'm gone, I'm gone.
That's it.
It's over. I mean, you dead. I mean, it ain't hurting you. You're dead.
Right.
You know, so really, you know, I've lived a good life.
Yes, sir.
When I check out in my sleep, it's last one. I'm just gonna be woohoo! I'm up out of here.
Golfing every day.
Every day, up in heaven, getting holy coaching from on high.
Getting direct.
That's right. Don't need to make no money. Nobody looking to me for any reason. I have arrived. And so that it doesn't matter to me. But I do believe, Tommy, that you and I have a responsibility for those who love us and those who are going to love us in the future to prepare ourselves to engage in the highest quality of life that you can. Because you don't want to be a burden to others, and you want to be able to play with the grandkids and all of that. So because of that, then I've got to be the change. And as I work on me, you know, and I'll say this analogy that guy gave me once before. He was telling me, Eric, you put premium gas in your car and then regular gas in your body. Yeah. And you literally have to upgrade what you're putting in your body. And Tommy, I'm feeling right now that I'm on a journey to get to the next level in terms of things that God wants me to help facilitate in the world around us.
Kind of unpack that for us a little bit, Eric, because I think that's great. As you are in constant conversation with God and other people, what are some of those things?
Well, I was community. I was talking to LG Wise, a good friend of mine. Suzanne Collins is our finance manager at Integrity Development. Her husband is one of my very best friends. And he came into my office the last time she was here. She lives in North Carolina now, but still works with Integrity. I love that. And Wise came in and shared a vision that God had given him. He had spoken at Solid Rock on that Wednesday, and he had come in and met with me on Thursday. And he started talking to me about indigenous people. And he's sort of an assistant pastor at a church that a significant part of the congregation are indigenous individuals. And he was talking about the worship that they do. And so he and I started brainstorming what we might be able to do differently that could bring people together. And he said that he believes that if America is going to receive the healing that we long for, we may have to start by apologizing to the first sort of marginalized people in this country, the Native Americans. And then he talked about worship, and he talked about sort of music. And before we knew it, we had put together sort of a model of bringing people together, not in churches, but in the community, where we would sing and I would talk a little bit about what it means to reconcile, and that we would ask for forgiveness from the Native Americans, and that each of us would turn to each other. And what I saw in that, Tommy, was that too often our churches feel like places that people go to, they pay their tithes go to the building and all of that. And maybe some of them have missionaries around the world, but too often the resources are going into the physical structure, and not enough are going back into the lives of people. And so what we saw was this notion of people being able to partner up with one another. I've got resources, you've got needs.
Yes.
And we start sharing those, because I believe that as people look at what will it take to move beyond the fever that we have right now, I don't think it's going to be better speeches. I don't think it's going to be better platforms. I don't think it's going to be better saying to people what you think they want to hear. I believe that the people that will gain the heart of America and the heart of the world are ultimately people that are pouring something back into others. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I want to be a part of, Tommy, is really, and I thought about it again today, because as Wise and I were talking about this, I felt chills going through my body, because it had some integrity. The model had integrity within it. So for me, that's one of the things that I want to do. The other is that I think that you and I have an obligation, Tommy, to grow our businesses. And that's not just because you and I are interested in making more money. I believe that those of us who have God-given talent, skills, and ability, you have an obligation. Once you understand the value of money, then I think you have an obligation to get as much of it as you can so that you can reinvest in the needs of others. I was listening to a woman that's a tech giant. I think she even retired out of that because she made so much money. And now she's turned her heart towards many of the people around the world that were looking for funds for USAID that lost those funds. And now she's really generating millions and millions of dollars so that she can fill the gap that was left by the government just deciding on any one day that they're done.
Well, Eric, this is interesting to me because, as you said, make as much money as you can, and there may be that opportunity, in other words, to give back, right? To then really address some needs or concerns that are out there, gaps that sometimes money could be a starting point.
Right.
Can't throw money at every problem or challenge.
Right.
And so I'm reminded of 2 days ago, I was up late with insomnia and I was watching a documentary on Steve Jobs.
Mm-hmm.
For those who are less familiar, Steve Jobs is known as the founder of Apple. And there in the documentary, it talks about his mental development. He was a brilliant, intelligent man, and he had came into what he called this phase of enlightenment, a period of time when he was his mind had moved into warp speed and he was enlightened about certain challenges. Most of it was with regards to technology. He, at the same time, had impregnated a woman and disowned the child off the rip.
Wow.
Right, off the rip. He, at the same time, was notorious for being personally disconnected from humanity. In the documentary, it talks about his brilliance, his enlightenment was more toward connecting the world together because he was always disconnected. He was a orphaned child. He suffered immense disconnection and abandonment. And so they were interviewing one of his daughters, his first daughter's girlfriend, first daughter's mother. They also interviewed the monk that he had knocked on the door that one late evening to say, I'm in this place of enlightenment. And they interviewed the monk, who's much older now. And the monk said today, soft spoken, he said, when Steve said, I'm enlightened, the monk said, Right. And when I heard that, and the documentary goes silent.
Right.
I have a view of monks, right? Every day in meditation, in introspection, really moving toward enlightenment, which has nothing to do with material things.
Right.
And then to hear the monk hear from another person, I'm enlightened. And the monk having wisdom, not to judge it or explain it. Tell me, how are you enlightened? Just The change that I see from that story that you just triggered, I'm talking about Steve Jobs. As we think about growing our business, I'm asking myself, Eric, and make it plain, why? And I mean that sincerely, that Eric, like you, we are people-centered. I love that direction that you're going, that you've already been in. But if we're talking about being the change that we want to be, I've seen this story before. I've seen the story of folks having conversations around, let's be the change, let's right the wrongs. And we're constantly in the place of discomfort, wrong, etc., myself included. So as I think about growing the business and seeing a little bit of a runway for my life,
Mm-hmm.
blissfully, not tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
get some years. For what? For what? Right? In the back of my mind, I want to help more. But folks I'm helping today are always needing help, even tomorrow. So I'm running a rat race of taking in the help that I need, giving out the need and hope that other people need to tomorrow. Let's get back on it. Growing the business, doing more, having more. I am
exhausted.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a good word. I'm exhausted.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, we will be exhausted if we are not completely and totally tuned in on God's rhythm for our lives.
Okay.
And so what I would say, Tommy, is that what is most exhausting is when you and I feel like we have to do it. And we start taking on the weight of, I have to do it.
Yeah, that's good.
But when I let that weight go and I transfer that weight from my shoulders to Almighty God's shoulders, then the work gets easier. The labor gets easier. I was in TJ Maxx, I like to shop. And so I was in TJ Maxx a couple weeks ago. I went to one of the stores and they were selling bikes. TJ Maxx, they sell all kinds of stuff. So they were selling a bike. I saw the bike. The bike was $162. So I said, okay, I can buy that bike. I like riding bikes and I need to find an exercise that I can do. So I bring it up to the counter. Manager's a wonderful guy. He says, Eric, do you have any rewards points? I said, I probably do. Like, I've been shopping here for a long time. I probably do. He said, well, do you know how to find them? I said, nope. He said, well, let's see if we can find them. So he helped me find my rewards. And literally, Tommy, we found over $100 of free money. And I got the bike that I was looking for, that I was still teetering about, for $50.
Yeah, winning.
That's right. So I happily walked out there. But I was just saying that story is a sidebar. But a couple of days before, I was in there, and there was a young Latina female that was in the store, and she's in high school now, Tommy. And I was asking her about college. And she says, well, my family can't really afford college. And she said, with all the things that are going on right now, I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to afford college. And I'm nervous about that, but I'm hopeful, that something can happen, that I can be the first representative in my family to try to go to college. And she was so sweet, Tommy, that it just broke my heart. And I asked her to send me her resume because she was I said, what kind of student are you? Well, I'm a pretty good student, and she was trying to find a transcript. I said, well, just send it to me. So she sent me a nice letter, Tommy. It's just a beautiful 2-page letter, man. And she was saying how blessed she felt that she had met me. And she started talking about all that she was trying to accomplish, and all of her dreams and visions were there on that piece of paper. Tommy, and I was reading it half in tears. I sent a copy of it to my daughter and started working on that. And then, like everything else, Tommy, I set it down and got back into business and into life. And so yesterday, Sarah said, I saw this little letter that you got from this young lady. She said, and I prepared a response from you. Would you like to look it over? Huh? Mm-hmm. And so when I looked at the response that Sarah had put together on my behalf, I began to feel again, Tommy, that we cannot walk away from people's needs.
Wow.
You and I are so engaged and so involved and so busy that even a beautiful request like that, it sometimes feels like one more brick in the wall of responsibility. And if I just set it aside, I didn't have to look at it. Set it aside. And when I read over her response, which was thorough, and I thought about the heart of Sarah that had been touched by the words of this young immigrant family.
Yeah, that's good, Eric.
And I said, if that letter can touch her heart, then that's God saying to me, we can't let that go. And so part of being the change, Tommy, is not changing the United States. It might be simply trying to put as much of my energy behind trying to connect this young lady with as many other resource finders. Luzette Marshall, Dr. Marshall over at UCF, I was thinking about her. But I think that's what it is, Tommy. It's really being the change is allowing our heart to be moved by the needs of others and us seeking to be whatever solution God can allow us to be.
Yeah, Eric, that was profound. I'm thinking of so many things. Again, I want to invite the community and share, even from your perspective, what are the things or what might you want to change? I want you to jump into the conversation and share those things. You can join the show if you're interested and connect with our producer, Lydia. She'll bring you on the backstage, kind of prep you very quickly, and you come to the front stage. You can show your video or you can just share your voice, but we want to hear from you. One thing I took away from that, Eric, which triggered me really, was I'm not a terribly political person, right? I vote, sure. And I get calls locally from people who are running for a political office. I'm not political. That's not my thing. I think that's out of my control. My vote is my power, but creating legislation is not. I leave that for the politicians. So I have two friends who have reached out to me multiple years, but typically they reach out to me one time a year.
Right.
And they reach out to ask me for money.
A contribution.
Right. And so in that first ask, it's typically would like to meet with you. Right. And so I moved to is that one more brick in my schedule of life? Right. And if it's a brick in my schedule of life, I'm actually giving my time. Right. I'm giving it. So you're asking for it, then I give it to you for me to give you my time and my money. You're doubling down. I get it. I get the ask. What I don't get, and I'll get out of my own way, Eric, is once a year, you don't know me, right? You're friends, I know you, but you don't know me. Don't hit me once a year. Right. And then the other piece is when you see me out, pound the flesh. What I mean by that, and I'm getting into my feelings a little bit.
That's the least you do.
I think that's the least. So if you went down your Rolodex of names of people to call and I'm on that short list, thank you. So I think I'm on the short list because it's a high probability they're going to get a couple of dollars for your campaign. And so I don't always react immediately to make that donation to give back to a person in need. That's what I'm saying. I'm lining up to a person in need. We need donations for me to do this. So they reach out to me as they do you. I'm in need. Help me out. I'll be about my way. Yeah, I've helped you out in the past. Sometimes campaigns don't go as well as they hope. So that's that. But then when I see you out, don't just skirt by. You called me out of the blue. Right. And so what I'm saying and I'm thinking, Eric, is what do I need to change in myself? Here's what I need to change as we sit here right now having this conversation. One, I need to appreciate that person even considers me to be a donor.
Person of resource.
A person of resources. I need to appreciate that.
God
God has put me in a position that I can be that person and be called upon. So I need to back down and say, hey, first of all, you could be worse off than people asking you for a couple of coins. That's one. Two, if I have it, give it and be done with it. and stop trying to get into the other person's mindset of motives and ulterior motives and all that good stuff, because that's all my stuff. They're in need. I have means in this regard. I have time, I have energy, have some financial resources. Go ahead and give it. Third, as God is speaking to me right now, he's saying, be careful, because there will be a day that you need help. That's what he's telling me right now.
Come on now.
So I know that there's going to be a day that I'm going to need financial help. In the moment, we have businesses, payroll, all that good stuff. The change that I would like to see ultimately is that we do not need, Eric. I know that's euphoric.
Wow.
I wish we were in a place that we did not have to need, that we knew each other well enough through conversation, through relationship, through proximity, through human understanding, that when I sit down with you, Eric, and the energy that you put off, and I feel, oh, Eric needs an ear. I don't ask, you need somebody to talk to, E? I simply am present and give you the ear without question. If someone needs money, we see them kind of patting their pockets, going into the pocketbook, right? Going, checking how much the ticket is, the face, ooh, they don't have enough money. I know the meal is $78. They probably short, right? What do you mean short? They're short. They don't have enough. Let me get half of that. That's the change I want to see now in me getting out of my own damn way, E, right? And my own stuff, because everybody has stuff and I do too. So if I give to change the world to be more giving, then I think that it will be giving and not have as much need.
That's powerful, bruh. That is so powerful. And let me look at it this way. So one of our communities said, we all have gifts. A gift isn't a gift until it's given.
Come on.
And so that means that we all have something inside of us. It's not really a gift until it's given. Tommy has said that we want to be in a world where there are no more needs. And so what came to mind for me, Tommy, is this notion of us being sort of God on earth.
Yes, sir.
That's what it means to be a Christian, is to be Christ-like. And so that means you have to seek to do the things that you believe we are seeking God to do for us. That's what we have to do for others. And I'll tell you, Tommy, that there's something that's so powerful about that. If we just, as you were speaking, you were saying that sometimes you just sit back and instead of waiting for somebody to ask us for something, to be looking around and see how we can fill in holes and plug in gaps that others have. And in doing so, I believe that there are rich blessings that come back to us. I'm seeing that just like you and I don't always like the political candidate that doesn't talk to us at all. Now all of a sudden, here they are, campaign season, and now they're showing up at my door. People that are in need right now in this country are thinking about, who do I know, if anybody, who could I call, if anybody, that could help me make it from here to here. Now, for you and I, we're not trying, don't try to beat us.
Right.
So anybody that's trying to slick me or beat me, I'm like, come on now, that's insulting.
Yeah, come on, Eric.
But I should not, my antenna should always be up for the real needs that exist around me, Tommy. Whether it's in my family, whether it's in my friends, I want to have my antenna up. So as we start talking to you all about being the change that you want to see in others, Cheryl says we are blessed to be a blessing.
Yeah.
And so if I'm looking for a world that is kinder, if I'm looking for a world that is more giving, if I'm looking for a world that sees that they have influence and they want to utilize that influence to put Tommy Lewis in front of somebody or Eric Ellis in front of somebody, those are the things that we have to do ourselves with looking for nothing in return. That's the person that I want to be. Tommy, I want to spend more time cultivating that person.
Yes.
And I believe that there's something powerful that happens in our lives as we transition our mindset from simply being the receiver to being the blesser. From just being the receiver to being the answer, the link, the linker, the linkage, the convener of people, so that we might meet the needs of others. And I believe that as we start leading in that direction, it will have a great influence on the country around us. Right now, anxiety is high, depression is high, stress is high. I think those things are high because we are just caught up in trying to take care of ourselves and then listening to the noise around us. I know personally that as I start being a blessing to others, man, I start feeling blessed.
Yep.
When you really help somebody that's in need and you're not looking for anything back from them, Tommy, that is a major blessing to your life. It feels like, it looks like, it seems like work from the outset, from the outside. But when you really get in to investing time in helping others, it is a major blessing back to you.
Eric, there's an exercise that we do in our training with youth and adults and folks who are transitioning from the workforce, i.e. retirement, into that final chapter of their life. And it talks about change. And we have them self-assess along a continuum. Change is the aspect. Are you more initiating? Do you like to initiate change, or do you like to adapt to change?
Okay.
So with change, and people put themselves along that continuum as they see it. And there's some other aspects that we have folks mark off, and then we have them stand up and move in the space so they can physically see where they are along this continuum and where others might be. People that they work with, people that they know, friends, etc. With change, we spend some time there saying, if you initiate change, what does that look like? Right? Do you initiate it because you want something different? Or do you initiate it in the vein of creativity and innovation, right? To really push the paradigm of thought, the paradigm of reality, not for yourself, but for others, right? The other is adapting. So does change land on you? If change lands on you every year, every quarter, every month, every week, every day, are you adaptive or are you reactive to change? We find in our workshops, some 20 years easily, that we have the majority of folks, maybe 60%, they lean toward adapting to change. That because of so many needs and so many changes, that their lives, personally or professionally, appear to be out of control. They cannot control tomorrow. Right. And so whatever happens tomorrow lands on them. They adapt to the change. They become flexible. They become malleable. They become just resilient to the preponderance of change.
Right. That's rushing at them.
I think it's twofold. Sure, we have to be adaptive. We have to be flexible to change that happens because we can never control the event. Remember the R factor. E plus R equals O. We can never control the E, the event.
Right.
We can control the R, our response or reaction. And we cannot control the outcome. Oh, that's tomorrow. We cannot control that. And so if we have to be able to correctly and appropriately respond
Right.
to the changes.
Right.
Because sometimes when we are negatively reacting to the change, if it happens time and time and time again, we do kind of lean toward negativity, maybe even mentally some depression. Right. Because the burden and the weight of the changes and the uncertainty is overwhelming. But when we are in the reality of complete uncertainty, constant change, if I want to see a different tomorrow, I'm going to initiate the change.
That's right.
I'm not doing that anymore.
That's right.
I'm not. But you've done it for 35, 40, 50 years. I'm not doing it tomorrow and any day after it. I am going to control that. You're trying to lose weight. You're trying to be a better loved one, right, Eric? We have to say, I got to be better. So I do that with my wife. I try to do a better job. She's very clear with me when I'm not doing a good job. And I don't take defense to that.
Right.
She tells me, like, yeah, you're falling back into that same comfort zone. Coming into the house, 5:30, 6 o'clock, watching TV, eating, taking a shower, going to bed, day in, day out, day in, day out. She says, what happened to that change of giving me attention?
Felt like another assignment.
Another brick in that responsibility. So part of the change initiating, Eric, part of it is sustainability. So if I tell myself that I am going to change for myself and for other people and for the world, can I sustain the mindset of change? Not necessarily that action, that event, because there are multiple events. But am I consistent? Say, hey, T, I see you getting better. I am. I'm working at it. I'm working every day. It's being an athlete. All that good stuff, man. This is so exciting to me, Eric. I'll take a quick pause and throw it back to you. I'm enjoying our community.
Absolutely.
Very, very much. I would like to invite our community. If there is an organization that you know is of need, if there's a person that's connected to an organization, put their website into the chat room. Let us reach out to them. Let us grab our global community to fund source certain initiatives. You can reach out to Eric and I at me. Website is at www.mipcllc.com. Eric, www.integritydev.com. We are here to change the mindset of what need and help is.
That's exactly right. Lydia, bring up the comment around the leadership. Leadership is creating the conditions where everybody has an opportunity to care for the well-being of the whole. And I like that definition there. Leadership is creating the conditions where everybody has an opportunity to care for the well-being of the whole. And as Tommy and I sit here and talk about Mahatma Gandhi talked about be the change that you want to see in the world, but there's also sort of be the change that others want to see in you.
Yes, sir.
Be the change that others want to see in you. And that's what Tommy is saying right now, is that there's no cost associated with identifying, assessing those that are around us in our sphere of influence, those that are looking for changes in us, Tommy. So we don't have to get grandiose. Matter of fact, I would suggest that our families of great leaders have had to make great sacrifices. Dr. King's family made great sacrifices.
Yes.
I wonder what he would have done differently if he didn't just consider his calling to the world, but he also considered his responsibility and obligation to the people closest to him. And I'd say, Tommy, that that's something I want to think about on this day as well, is what does it mean to be the change that others are wanting to see in me? And if I become that change, what prayers are being answered as a result of that? And so that is a challenging perspective. And it's one that if we don't view it as another brick, another assignment, if we view it as a betterment of ourselves and almost an ability to self-actualize. Oh, that's what we're talking about here. That as I seek to be the change that others, good others, people that love me want to see in me, then what does that do in terms of my ability to self-actualize? And I would suggest, Tommy, that it actually is another route to that which we're seeking to achieve in our lives.
Come on, Eric.
In other words, we don't really, so we always think, this is how I feel about God. When I first gave my life to God, I was like, God, I will serve you, but I want to lead. I don't want you to lead because everybody knows you're a boring guy. You're going to make me a monker. But what I've learned is that when God leads, he takes me to the places that I most want to go. And so that's what happens inside of us, Tommy. As we begin to be the change that others want to see in us, it actually, I think, can accelerate our pace to accomplish what God has created for us as our purpose and destiny.
That's profound, Eric. I'm a bit emotional, Eric. You know this, that recently I've had to separate a person from our company. I didn't like that.
I know you did.
I didn't want that change.
Right.
I didn't want the person to experience that change.
Right.
And at the same time of deliberating over the need for me to initiate the change, the separation from the company, I want the person to know that, and this is not a pat on my back, I actually tried my best, brought you in with the team, brought some other executive coaches. I got beat up from other folks on my team about, damn it, Tommy, make a decision. Right. And at the end of the day, my concern was about the person.
I love seeing that, Tommy.
It wasn't as much about the business. No. I think the business is going to take care of itself.
That's right.
And now that we've made the transition, and we have another team member who's been with the company for some time. We just elevated them to new responsibilities. This morning, that person texted me as she is taking a vacation saying that this change that is about to happen in her life by being elevated at Make It Plain is a change that she's been grappling with for 4 years. She said that in the text. I know that personally. We hired her 4 years ago. She said, hey, where I am right now is not really where I want to be. And so I helped her start her own business. True. This is all real. She started her own business. I gave her a piece of my business. Here, you can have that piece. That's you now. She won another piece of business. So she has 2 new pieces of business in this new path she's taken. In the same 6 months, the business that I gave her sunset, and the business that she won on her own decided to move away because of what's happening coming down the pipe. And she, 6 months ago or so, began to doubt herself. And now she's texting me, thank you. And I'm saying, Lord, thank you for thanking me, but don't thank me, right? I'm always in some type of excitement and sorrow at the same time. I'm always happily sad, Eric, happily sad. And what I wish that all of us, as we're trying to figure this thing of life out, that's why I appreciate yourself saying, when I'm done, I'm done. That I wish we didn't have to need, right? Have to need as much. I wish that folks like, hey, it was a good run. I'm out.
Right.
Don't suffer about the change.
Right.
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 When
Right.
I left baseball,
Right.
and that's my story. I left baseball.
Right.
The facts is that I got cut.
Right.
Right. My
Right.
story is I left.
Right.
Man,
Right. Right.
that was the best
right,
thing.
Right. Right.
All right. You say your time is up,
That's
man.
right.
Go do that. You know, one of my mentors in closing, when I was an engineer working for 5 years in Cincinnati, Benjamin Sinquina. I know I've shared this story before.
I don't remember.
Ben Sinquina, he was from the old country, Italy. I never knew where the old country was. But Tommy, I'm from the old country. I'm from Italy. Okay, Ben, I'm from Cincinnati, right? I was 20 years old, 21 years old, and he was maybe 65 at the time. Long story short, after 5 years working as an intern, inroads intern at the company, beginning to look at full-time placement, Ben called me into his office as he did almost every day, and he shared, Tommy, I want to give you some feedback. And I had my pen and pad, and he says, feedback, I got to get straight to the point. He says, you're a terrible engineer. Oh, okay, Ben. So yeah, you're terrible. You're terrible. In honesty, you're not terrible. I don't think that this is what you want to do. He says, I think you need to stop building buildings and start building people. And I had immediately got away from you're a terrible engineer because I loved him and I knew he was giving feedback. I knew he was saying, he was shocking me into listening.
Right. That's right.
Shocking me.
Don't miss your calling.
Yep. Shocking me into listening. You're a terrible engineer. What? Right. Now that you hear me, stop building buildings and start building people. And I said, what? That's what I've always wanted to do.
Right.
I don't,
Right.
You saw that? It's like, yeah.
Right.
We all see it.
Right.
So sometimes, as you said, Eric, when people tell you, here's where you might need to change, listen and possibly receive it, particularly if you're hearing it from multiple people. Here's what you need to change. Person 1, person 2, person 20, person 30. And they're saying the same thing. Oh yeah, I need to change that. And then if I can change, I have a testimony to share with other people. Here's how you too can change.
That's right.
Right. And so then I need answers. We all do. Let's just share answers. Instead of, no, I didn't get what I needed, although I didn't tell you.
Right.
All that good stuff.
Right. So community, we have blown by this hour. Wow. Tommy and I have some beautiful papers here.
Yeah, we do. Let's hold them up, Eric, so that the community knows.
Yeah, we was ready. We had all kinds of stuff to talk about. We actually had 2 papers. Papers everywhere. But let me say this to you, our dear community, that this has been, if it was in the Bible, it'd be a red letter day. Because it is a series of insights that I think come from on high. I want to say to you, our community, what Tommy has just shared here in the last 20, 30 minutes is the reason why we are brothers and the reason why we are still together 7 years later. Because the title of the show is Be the Change That You Want to See in the World. And what I love about Tommy is what I believe exists inside of me.
Yes, sir.
As he described in such a moving way, all of the pain that he went through, the agonizing that he went through because he was going to have to separate from a person. I watched him go through that. I watched all the humility and all of the angst and all of the stress that he personally endured trying to make multiple parties happy. And the decision that he ultimately came to was the right one. But what I love about Tommy is that his character will push him to struggle.
Yes, sir.
And that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I don't make decisions easily. that will negatively affect others. Most people have a lot of chances with me, Tommy.
Yes, sir.
You know, they got a lot of chances, man.
Yeah.
Floyd, fall down, stumble all over the place. I see you tumbling down the street. And get up! Get up! You can do it! Roll to your feet! Roll to your feet! You know. They wobbling every kind of way. Can't get to the feet at all. But I'm still pulling for them. Then somebody has to tap me. This one.
Let them go.
Yeah, this one will go into the ocean. They're not going to get to their feet. But I'm still. We can do it. So that's what I love about Tommy Lewis, is that when the cameras are off, when nobody else is watching him, when there's no benefit points to be gained from the decisions that he's wrestling with, he fights to make the right decision. Community, we love you. Today is one of our additional installments in the notion of you have the power to be what you're looking to see. That we are not going to be victims. Many of you think that for the next 3.5 years, you're just going to sit around and try to wait out what's happening around you. That would be a foolish decision. Yeah. We're saying whatever it is that you're looking for, allow God to use everything that's inside of you to make that happen. And Tommy Lewis and Eric Ellis, we're going to be having a ball over the next 3.5 years, because we're going to continuously try to tap in to what God is saying to us about being the best individuals we can be, the best co-hosts, the best business owners, the best friends that we can be to each other, the best husbands, fathers that we can be to our families. And we believe that that will deliver to the world something greater than what the world believes is being robbed of today. Tommy, you've got the final word.
Just like to double down on what Erica said and leave you with this. Let us continue to better our best. Every day, every week, every month, every year. Better our best. Until next week, thank you for joining us on another installment of
Diversity Conversations.
Take care.
Take care. Love each other.